At length, one day, a boat was seen pulling for the shore from a long, black, rakish-looking schooner that lay at anchor at the bay.
The boat's crew seemed worthy of the craft in which they debarked. There were said of noisy, landed in peaceful Communipaw. They were outlandish in garb and demeanor.
And we're headed by a rough, burning holy rough, with fiery whiskers, a copper nose, a scar across his face, and a great flounderish beaver slouched on one side of his head.
In whom, to their dismay, the quiet inhabitants were made to recognize their early pest, Jan Jost van der Scamp.
The rear of this hopeful gang was brought up by old Pluto, who had lost an eye, grown grizzly-headed, and looked more like a devil than ever.
Van der Scamp renewed his acquaintance with the old workers, much against their will, and in a manner not at all to their taste. He slapped them familiarly on the back, gave them an iron grip of the hand, and was hail fellow well met. According to his own account, he had been all the world over, had made money by bags full, had ships in every sea, and now meant to turn the wild goose into a country seat, where he and his comrades, all rich merchants from foreign parts, might enjoy themselves in the interval of their voyage.
Sure enough, in a little while, there was a complete metamorphose of the wild goose. From a quiet, peaceful Dutch public house, it became a most riotous, uproarious, private dwelling.
A complete rendezvous for boisterous men of the seas, who came here to have what they call a blowout on dry land. They might be seen at all hours, lounging about the door,
or lolling out of the windows, swearing amongst themselves, and cracking rough jokes on every passerby.
The house was fitted up too in so strange a manner. Hammocks slung to the walls instead of bedsteads, odd kinds of foreign furniture, bamboo couches, Spanish chairs, and pistols, cutlasses, and blunderbusses suspended on every peg.
Silver crucifixes on the mantelpiece, with silver porringers and candlesticks on the tables, contrasting oddly with the pewter and delftware of the original establishment.
And then the strange amusement of these sea monsters.
pitching Spanish dollars instead of quoits, firing blunderbusses out of the window,
shooting at a mark, whereas any unhappy dog, or cat, or pig, or barn-door fowl that might happen to come within reach.
The only being who seemed to relish their rough waggery was old Pluto.
And yet he led but a dog's life of it, for they practiced all kinds of manly jokes upon him.
kicked him about like a football,
Shook him by his grisly mop of wool.
and never spoke to him without coupling a curse by way of adjective to his name. and consigning him to the infernal regions.
The fellow, however, seemed to like them the better, the more they cursed him.
Though his utmost expression of pleasure never amounted to more than the growl of a petted bear when his ears are rubbed.
Old Pluto was a ministering spirit at these orgies of the wild goose, and such orgies apt to place there. Such drinking, singing, whooping, swearing.
With an occasional interlude of quarreling and fighting.
The noisier grew the revel, the more old Pluto plied the invitations, until the guests would come prancing in the
Sometimes, after a drinking bout, they sallied forth and scoured the village, to the dismay of the worthy burghers, who gathered their women within doors and would have shut up the house.
Vanderskamp, however, was not to be rebuffed. He insisted on renewing acquaintance with his old neighbors and on introducing his friends,
The merchants.
to their families. Swore he was on the lookout for a wife, and meant, before he stopped, to find husbands for all their daughters.
So willy-nilly sociable he was.
Swaggered about their best parlors with his hat on one side of his head.
Sat on the good wife's nicely waxed mahogany table, kicking his heels against the carved and polished legs.
Kissed and tousled the young frowns.
And if they frowned and pouted, gave them a gold rosary or a sparkling cross to put them in good humor again.
Sometimes nothing would satisfy him. But he must have some of his old neighbors to dinner at the Wild Goose.
There was no refusing him.
You've got the complete upper hand of the community.
And the peaceful burghers all stood in awe of him.
But what a time would the quiet, worthy men have among these great hells, who would delight to astound them with the most extravagant gunpowder tales, embroidered with all kinds of foreign oaths.
Clink the can with them, pledge them in deep potations, bold drinking songs in their ears.
And occasionally fire pistols over their heads.
Or under the table.
And laugh at their faces and ask them how they like the smell of gunpowder.
Thus was the little village of Communipaw for a time like the unfortunate wife possessed with
Until Vanderskamp and his brother merchants would set sail on another trading voyage. The Wild Goose would be shut up, everything relapse into quiet, only to be disturbed by the next visitation.
The mystery of all these proceedings gradually dawned upon the tardy intellects of Communipaw. These were the times of the notorious Captain Kidd, when the American harbors were the resorts of piratical adventurers of all kinds, who, under pretext of mercantile voyages, scoured the West Indies, made plundering descents upon the Spanish Main, visited even the west remote Indian seas, and then came to dispose of their booty, have their rebels, and fed out new expeditions in the English colonies.
Vanderskamp had served in this hopeful school, and having risen to importance among the buccaneers, had pitched upon his native village and early home as a quiet, out of the way, unsuspecting place, where he and his comrades, while anchored at New York, might have their feasts and concert their plans without molestation.